What's up, guys? Back with another video, man. Making these videos like crazy, bro. Back with another video, man. Uh, I wanted to talk about a few OG Xbox games that people might have forgot about. You don't really hear much about sometimes when people make these nostalgia videos. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're not there, but some of these games can actually be nice if they can be revamped. Part twos of these games. You know what I mean? It would be nice if there was still some more backwards compatibility going on, right? So we're going to talk about seven seven games I picked out of my OG collection that I have enjoyed. Some I back in the OG days I never really finished, but they were good games. But it would be nice for these to come back. Microsoft, the Xbox Series S and X. This current gen, they've been bringing out a lot of OG like shoot 'em ups on the system, and I've downloaded and bought all of them because they're at reasonable prices. Some of those games on there are worth a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? And they just been bringing out like all different types of games like that bring back kind of that nostalgia feeling. You know what I'm saying? So there's a few that I want to talk about because there was a lot of IP that came out on the original Xbox One. The original Papa Xbox. The original Xbox that first came out and debuted in the early 2000s. And it's really good to collect for today. Some of the games have actually went up in price, but for a pretty decent amount of money, I think you could still find some of these games complete. Let's not forget where Series X and S and even the Xbox One X and all the next gen and 360 came from. It started from their father, which is the OG Xbox, man. So let's talk about a couple games. The first one, I actually found this game, and I had it a long time ago, but I traded it in. It might have been for some 360 games, because back then I was collecting, but if there was something I wanted really bad, I had to sacrifice certain games that I collected for. But luckily, I found this game for a whopping $3 at my Goodwill. I think it was either Goodwill or St. Vincent's de Paul. I can't remember very well, but it is called State of Emergency. This game is actually made by Rockstar. This is made by Rockstar, man, and it was a mayhem game. It was kind of crazy. You know what I mean? If you guys remember, now I think this game has went up in price for the OG Xbox. I'm not sure. I think there's a version on the PlayStation too, right? But um, it's by Rockstar, and that's really cool. And I did play this game. Now I can't remember. I definitely didn't beat the game. I'm gonna get back into playing this game. If I can't play it on my 360, I can still play it on my OG Xbox. But it was like really crazy mayhem, all kind of destruction and just all kind of stuff going on in this game. It was fun, but I don't really hear anybody ever even bring this up when it comes to talking about OG games from the OG Xbox, man. But I'm glad to have this back in my collection. If you guys have this in your collection or you ever played this game, let me know your thoughts on it, brothers. And gamer chicks, you know what I'm saying? Xbox gamer chicks, let me know. But I'm glad to actually find that, man. For the price that I did. You know what I'm saying? So the next one we're going to get into is Siphon Filter. Siphon Filter by Midway. Really good racing game in my opinion. Action racing game. Really awesome. You know what I mean? I had a lot of fun with this. They have a Midway's collection. I'm not sure if this is on the Midway's collection, but Spy Hunter is also a game. If you want to get into collecting for OG Xbox and you want the game in its original shell and complete, it's affordable. This is affordable. Some of the games aren't. Like I said, it depends on what it is. You know what I mean? Like you could probably find this game for about $5, if you go to Lukey Games, maybe. Now, sometimes their prices have went up tremendously on some of these budget games they had on their budget list. Like some of them have went up to like $15-20, which isn't bad. You know what I mean? But it's a good racing game, and it's by Midway. I don't hear anybody ever talk about this. It's the original arcade Spy Hunter is also included in this, which is cool. That's a bonus. The original Spy Hunter game is included in this, which is really awesome. So if you want to go back and play the old school one that was in the arcade, you can, and then you can also play this newer version of it on the from the OG Xbox. I can't remember if this was back in pat for the 360. I do have a list of old school OG games that were back in pat for the Xbox 360, but I can't quite remember. But all I know is it was a fun game, and there's also a Spy Hunter 2 I also have. But this is a great game to actually definitely check out, guys. Now I recently actually picked this one back up in its original case. I think it was half price books for $5. Um, and I did play this game. I actually did play this game, and it's another game that was on the Xbox by IDOS. You know what I mean? Which is really cool. And I can't remember. I don't remember beating it, but I remember it being a pretty cool game. Action, adventure. Driving mechanics in it. This is called Total Overdose. Uh, the gunslinger tell a gunslinger's tale in Mexico. But what was cool about this game, I'll show you guys. Nice artwork. Nice artwork for this OG game. What was really cool about it is you got a bonus DVD about Tomb Raider. You got a bonus DVD and it was about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, the Legend, first look. Which was pretty awesome to have that in there to promote the game. And I'll show you it in its entirety. This has the book in it also. It has the Tomb Raider DVD, and then there's is the game. But I remember playing this game, not beating it, but I think I came close. But sometimes when there would be other games that came out, it would take me away from games, and that's a hard thing about being a collector, guys, of video games and a connoisseur is you start getting all these games, and then other games become of interest. You know what I mean? But this is a really good game. Highly recommend it, guys, if you're into collecting for OG. Like I said, the artwork is beautiful. There's some description of it on the back. Very, very awesome game. And I have so many OG Xbox. I wouldn't be able to show it all in its entirety because it would take way, way, way too long, you know. But that's another good game. Maybe see if you can find it on Lukey Games or your local mom and pop stores. You might be able to find it for a decent price. Now, this is a really, really good game. I'm glad to actually have this in my collection. This has definitely went up in price, and at one time it was hard to find. It's actually a good game to play for Halloween, getting that that October fest, that the christening Halloween, man. But my christening for Halloween is definitely going to be Scorn. But if you want to go back to OG horror games on the Xbox, it is Land of the Dead: Road to Fielder's Green, based on a George Romero film. And George Romero is from Pittsburgh, and he has a store here in a mall that I go to. You know what I mean? And I really love George Romero's work. He started Night of the Living Dead, and all these other countries made all kind of movies and making it off of what he made. He started it, and that's what we'll end it with George Romero. And this is the game right here. This is actually pretty bloody, challenging zombie game. The graphics for the time were pretty good, pretty decent for the OG Xbox. Great cover art and work on the front. There's a description of it in the back. And I do have it in its entirety. Now, when I picked this game up, I got it for $10, but I believe this game is over $50. Now, I'm not sure. You'll have to do your research, but I have seen this game for $80 on eBay. You know what I mean? But it's definitely worth collecting for if it's for a reasonable price that you can afford. And it's also a good game. And I believe this one does play on a 360. I can't quite remember. But it is, yes, it is Land of the Dead. You know what I mean? The game for OG Xbox, man. So that's one to pick up if you want to collect for the OG Xbox. Now the next one we got here is a by Capcom. It's a beat 'em up game, you know. And like I said, like I don't really see Land of the Dead in a lot of these games being reviewed. I know they were, but these are games I would like to actually see if Phil can revamp this. Like Phil, if you're listening, Uncle Phil, brother, if you're listening, uh, if you see some of these games like Land of the Dead, you know that would be awesome. Like Total Overdose, you know, games like that, you know, that would be awesome to see that come, you know, onto the Xbox ecosystem. It would be really cool to have that happen or make like sequels to these games with the Xbox Series S and X, graphics and stuff like that, making it S and X enhanced. That would be awesome. Next one here is called Beatdown: Fist of Vengeance. This is by Capcom. This is actually a pretty decent beat 'em up game for back in the day. I don't really hear much about it, but there's the cover art and work of the game, and it's a really awesome game, guys. I did play this. I did get to the end, but I didn't quite beat it out, if I remember. But it's a really good game that was on there. This flew under some people's radars. You know what I mean? People that were like big beat 'em up fans of fighting games probably do definitely have this in their collection. But it is really awesome. It is in its entirety. You know, like I said, it's by Capcom. It kind of reminds you of I don't know if this was the one that was this like a spin off the Final Fight. I don't know if this was the one, you know what I mean, but it kind of reminds you of those type of games. But yes, it is pretty decent. And Capcom have IP that they're actually sitting on. This is one that they're actually sitting on that they can make a part two of or revamp it, make it over. You know, this is one game that I would buy if they were to put it on these next gen consoles. You know what I mean? So Capcom, if you're listening, which I know they're not, you know, but this is a way to make more money, for business and gaming to bring some of these old IPs back. So that's another great game to check out, guys. Now, if you guys are into or curious about the really OG old school systems that I grew up with, you know, like Atari, you know, different ones like that, and let's say you just don't have the money to buy an Atari or Intellivision or ColecoVision or anything like that. The best way that you can play Intellivision and Atari games is on an Xbox. You know what I mean? And I know PlayStation has them too, but I'm an Xbox dude, so that's how I roll. But this is actually pretty awesome to own because the system right now, if you want to get it, it's kind of expensive. It's hard to find the games in complete condition because things were made with cardboard back then. You know what I mean? And like the casings of the games. And this is actually Intellivision Lives. Over 60 games. Now, I'm pretty sure you can find this by Crave. I'm pretty sure you can find this on the cheap on Lukey Games or your local half price books. They might have it for about $5, maybe $6. Maybe the highest I would say $10. But if you want to know the real nostalgia about where video games were born and you know paved the way for the Xboxes and all the Segas and Nintendos and PlayStations and all that. This is one of the fathers of it, that the system. This is Intellivision Lives for the Xbox. Now, this has over 60 games. Now, it has some sports games, it has some space shooter games, it has all kind of games in here. Astro Smash, which is a really good game if you like games like Space Invaders. You know what I mean? But it's really, really good. Now, I got this for $2 at my exchange a long time ago. $2, 2.50, I believe. And it comes with the book. It's nothing very special, but it has a really cool interactive menu when you turn on the game. Now, if I remember correctly, it might play on a 360, but you can see right here where it has an interactive, like arcade room, like when you go around and want to play the certain types of games, which was a plus. on here. And what I like about some of these games is they add like the creators' content on it, like the developers. You know what I mean? And different things like that. Atari does that a lot. You know what I mean? But this is really, really awesome. And if you want to get into those type of games, that you've never played before, never experienced, and you want to do it at a cheaper price, uh, this is it for you. Either for your Xbox or your PlayStation. I believe PlayStation 2 has this. But this is also a really good one, guys, to get into, which is Intellivision Lives. Now, the last game I'm going to show you guys, which is near and dear to my heart, and I've kept it for a long time. Me and my wife weren't married then, and the OG Xbox came out, and she took me to the launch of the OG Xbox at, I believe it was Best Buy. We waited outside. We weren't there like first thing because there were other people that were actually sleeping outside and camped out with tents. It was crazy. But we were talking in the car, and I was excited about getting the OG Xbox. After what happened to the Dreamcast, we're not going to get into that and who caused that to happen. But we went to the premiere of the OG Xbox. You can hear the people inside cheering, "Are we ready? Are we ready to sell these Xbox?" And you hear people, "Yeah, yeah." They're getting their employees all hyped up to open those doors and sell these Xboxes. And as the morning went on, there was a line that was like, I couldn't even tell you because it was in a big plaza, and believe me, it was huge, very huge because it was new. And people were curious about Microsoft's new game system here in PA also. So we got out at the right time where I think I was like third in line. I was third in line because I got out after a while and stood for at least a couple hours. And that's okay. You know what I mean? But this game, she actually didn't buy me at launch. She bought me for my birthday. And her and my oldest daughter were waiting for me to come home from work, and they surprised me in my apartment at the time with a big old cake, and this brought tears to my eyes. But I kept this game. Anything my wife buys me, I keep, because it's sentimental. We've been together for over 20 years. So this game here, and I was looking forward to this game. This is an awesome game because he has other games, but I think this game tells it better than the ones that came out on the Genesis and on the Jaguar, I believe it came out. And I think it's also on the Super Nintendo. This is Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon. Now, this is kind of, my wife got me this for my birthday. This is kind of like, I would say, like a Streets of Rage or a Double Dragon kind of, but it's Bruce Lee's story, and you go through all these different boards and you fight all these enemies. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, they did a fantastic job. Some people tried to ridicule the game, but it's a decent Bruce Lee game. There is not a good Bruce Lee game. So, Phil, if you're listening, this is by Universal Interactive. So, Phil, if you're listening, man, or anybody that knows, see if you can maybe get a Bruce Lee game, fighting game exclusively for Xbox. That would be awesome if Xbox can bring back nostalgia with a really good Bruce Lee game. Get with Shannon Lee. Talk to her about it and inspire her to make a really good Bruce Lee game. It would be awesome to have a good Bruce Lee game on the next gen consoles, man. And for me, I would love it to be exclusive to Xbox. You know what I mean? I love the game. I actually beat this game. The guy who did his voice did pretty well, and it's just paying tribute to the best martial artist that ever lived, which is the king of martial arts, which is Bruce Lee. Fist of Fury, baby. You know what I'm saying? So it would be awesome to see if they could bring us out. Yes, I have everything the way it was when I got it. You know what I mean? When she got it for me for my birthday, brand spanking new out of the cellophane. But I would love to see Bruce Lee come back, man. And you don't really hear about the Bruce Lee game that much. People talking about it on there. You know what I mean? Or even bringing it up when it comes to talking about, nostalgia of OG games, that we grew up with. You know what I mean? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Now, as far as the Alpha podcast, now I'm not sure if we're gonna do it tomorrow because I'm doing some things with my son. You know what I mean? And then my wife on Sunday. So I don't even know if I think my brother E Rock is having a podcast. So I'm not sure if I'll be available Sunday. But if they do, guys, enjoy the Exile podcast, man, because I'm going to be doing things with the wife. You know what I mean? So if anything changes, E Rock or Unlimited, and you hear this video, I will let you guys know ahead of time. But hey, guys, have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed this walk back in memory lane, talking about some, I believe, games that kind of flew under the radar that were really good games that can be revamped and need to be talked about more out here when it comes to collecting for OG retro systems in general. All right, guys? Peace and love. Xbox for life, brothers. We don't die, we multiply. Peace. And always remember, brothers, we're eating good over here. Peace.